Thank you very much, Jenna. It's been such a beautiful morning here as we are on the rooftop of the Interpretive Center here, giving you a little preview of what you're going to be seeing for the big migration festival. It is migration season right now, and to tell us a little bit more about that, I'd like to reintroduce you to Jacques Bourgeois. Jacques, why are birds coming from near and far and landing at Oak Hammock Marsh before they head south?
Great place to be. Lots of food, lots of place to pack up energy before their big flight to the south.
All right, very good point.
Yeah.
What are these birds eating to fuel up for their very big flight?
Well, each and every single one of the birds you see today will eat about half a pound of grain a day.
Wow, that seems like a lot, and we actually have the visual measurement here. So half a pound a day, but how many birds are you guys seeing in the marsh this time of year?
Well, it could be upwards to several 100,000 birds
and there's
a day.
There's enough food to go around?
Well, that's the thing. That you can imagine if you have land all around here, you can see all the birds and you start panicking about your profit, like your bottom line, so I was going to eat all of my crop.
Yeah.
So that's why we actually plant crops at the marsh itself. To basically lure the birds. It's called a waterfowl lure crop. So the birds will actually leave the marsh in the morning, go to those lure crops, and then eventually come back to the marsh at night. So not causing damage to the farmer's field.
Very, very smart and very cool. Now these guys are fueling up, and we know that there's an exceptional number of birds because you keep track of that. Tell me a little bit about your chart here.
We do. Well, this is basically how we do our bird count. Once a week, we tally up at sunrise when the birds are leaving the marsh. We tally up the dark, the Canada geese, the white, the snow geese, and then the ducks, the ones that are flapping much faster. So we basically one dot represent 100 birds. So one square is 1,000. So according to this chart here, there's over 10,000 Canadas, about 8,000 snows, and about 4,800 ducks. So the actual count will take place tomorrow morning.
Okay.
So if people are interested, they can come at 6 a.m., meet in the parking lot, and help us do the count.
Do the official count. Now, that is a lot of birds and a lot of different varieties. Now, are these guys all headed to the same place when they're going down south? Where are they going?
Different place with different birds. For example, the snow geese will go all the way to the Gulf of Mexico. The Canadas, not as far. The ones that are nesting here, they'll just cross the border to Minnesota. So not that far south. So it all depends on the group, the family, the populations, different place with different birds.
So those birds are going to Minnesota. Minnesota isn't any warmer than it is here, so why are the birds
degrees,
leaving?
I guess. They just go basically to where they can find open water. So there's a few places with open waters in the southern part of Minnesota, and that's where they go.
Very cool stuff. Now, we want to celebrate migration season with a big migration festival. You have a whole bunch of fun activities for the family to come out and enjoy, right?
It is. It's a Manitoba Belliker and Lottery's migration season this year, so it's a big event. We have lots of events planned. We have our migration festival. We have some ambassadors from Wildlife Havens here, as well as Coco.
Coco? Who's Coco?
Coco is actually a burrowing owl. So the burrowing owl recovery people will be here with Coco. It's a tiny little owl, so cute, so we can learn about it on Saturday. We have wagon rides, we have a rooftop talk on the roof at sunset, which is the best time to see all the birds. We also have a migration man this weekend, the following weekend, with the Canary and Finches Club of Manitoba, so we bring all the small songbirds. Yeah. The kind of birds that our birds will mingle with when they go down south in the winter.
I see.
We have migration dinners with elk and bison and Guinness stew, so we have a few of those left throughout the season. And of course, we wrap things up with our big migration concert.
Holy smoke, Jacques, so many great things going on. Appreciate you giving us the info there.
Well, thank you.
If you missed any of those details, you'll find them on the BT website at breakfasttelevision.ca. Jeremy Courtney, I've been learning a whole bunch of different and interesting things about migration season, including what happens once the birds go south.
Okay, so what happens when they get there? They kick back, swim,
Instagram
eat?
their time.
Sorry guys, there's a whole bunch of birds just taking off, distracting me for a second. But these guys go south, and much like people, when they go south, they're making all sorts of new friends, meeting new people or birds that they didn't know existed, and sometimes, in rare cases, birds who are not native to Manitoba or even Canada will fly back with their buddies. So these birds are meeting up and having a great time together. Sometimes, I guess it's deliberate because they want to be inside of this little flock together. But other times it's a navigation issue. So if these guys are down south and they're like moving their compasses and they're like, okay, I gotta fly back home, Europe is that away, but if they're really far down south and they're off by a couple degrees, that ends up being a huge significant factor by the time they actually get up north. So sometimes birds who are destined for Europe end up right here in North America.
Interesting. A quick question, do they ever choose to stay in the south?
Do they ever choose to stay? I believe it's because of food that they end up coming back here because a whole bunch of other birds are already there full time in the south during the off season. So those guys come back here because they know at Oak Hammock Marsh the food is going to be replenished.
All right, thank you very much, Drew.
See you guys.